In this video I'm showing you the basic straight stitches which are running stitch and back stitch. So to start off with, thread your needle with your embroidery thread and put a small knot on the end. And we'll start with running stitch. Now running stitch is probably the most common stitch that we use, and it's a very simple stitch. So you take your needle from the back of the fabric through to the front and pull it through, and then deciding, depending on what length of stitch you want, you then take your needle back through the fabric and it's done one running stitch. Now usually obviously you'll be doing lots of these, so if that's the case, the easiest and quickest way of doing it is to take your needle through, back again, so you can see I'm weaving it through the fabric without actually drawing the needle through until I get to the end. Okay, it's just a quicker way of doing it, and then you pull your embroidery thread through and then pull your fabric to straighten it out, and that's your basic running stitch. Now I'm going to swap to back stitch, so I'm going to continue that same line with the orange thread. Now with back stitch, this will form a continual line, so it will look like a continual line on your embroidery, whereas the running stitch is a broken line. So back stitch, you take your needle forward just as though you were doing a running stitch and out the other side, okay, and pull it through. And instead of moving forward, which you would do if you were doing running stitch, you simply take your needle back to the very end of the previous stitch. So just through there and draw it through, and you can see that's made a continual line. You then take your needle to the far point where you want the next stitch to end, draw your thread through and take it back, so you're always going back on yourself, hence it's called back stitch. And again, like the running stitch, this can be done at any length you want, so you can do a very short back stitch or you can do a long back stitch, and again it's a very useful stitch to use in embroidery. Always don't try and pull it too tight like I've just done, because it starts puckering up. So finally I'm going to draw that back through, and you can see now I've got a straight line of back stitch. So that's running stitch and back stitch.